Hi, good morning to everyone. Why I'm saying good morning, although it is noon time somewhere where I'm sitting and recording it right now, because there's a saying in India, "Jab jago tabhi savera," which means it's a morning whenever you wake up. So this recording or this conversation I'm having with each and every one of you around the world, because I believe we all are connected to each other. I don't want to give it a name of spirituality or divinity, but you all who might have been having experiences of life in different stages where you might have felt something which is surreal, which is beyond your explanation, and sometimes just tears flow out of your eyes and tears of joy. And language, after all, is a medium, is a tool, like we have phones and computers these days. So it's limited, its scope is limited. I don't think so there is a better way of explaining one's own self or someone to understand someone is through, only way is possible, that is through the heart, through the soul. And what I'm talking about right now is the vibe. We can call it vibration, we can call it energy. There are different terms for it across. Essentially what I'm talking about, you cannot fake your originality. You cannot fake what you're born with, no matter how good an actor you are. But if you are definitely in sync with your own self, if you are real, if you are exactly the way you talk to your mirror, then people will feel the conviction. And in the same instance, if you are talking about an idea or talking about something which you believe in so much, then even if you're sitting or standing in front of a stadium which is full of 70,000 people, they will feel the energy, they will feel the conviction. But if you're trying to fake something, if you're trying to talk about something which is not you, and which is you trying to create an image, there might be a limited impact. And there's a reason for that. I will come to that later on. But it will not be, creating that connect with the soul and the spirit of everyone. And now coming to that point which I am talking about is, most of the people around the world, right now, as per the latest numbers, according to me, official numbers, there are 8.1 billion people in world, right? And let's take 1% of it. I would say even less than 1% of it. Those people are having some kind of personalities, some kind of images around the world, and those images are selling. And I don't want to name any particular image right now out here. The idea is to awaken or create that disruption or that game-changing moment in your life, which I'm sure is going to be extremely uncomfortable. So what I'm trying to say is that 8.1 billion people, let's say, 7.98 billion people are trying to be those 0.001 or 0.002% of the people in this world. And the entire industries, entire machineries, whether it's the health industry, whether it is the PR industry, media industry, entertainment industry, they all are focused towards that, especially the social media. You're trying to have those kind of, personalities where you think you're able to feel great about yourself, you're able to monetize yourself. Look at the film stars around the world, whether it's a Tom Cruise or a Salman Khan, so they all are, prisoners of an image. As a real person, they might be totally different, and I think they are different. And that is the problem here. We all think that our life is a cinema, our life is a movie where it's either good or evil or nice or dirty. Life is not like that. Life is not even about, I would say, 50 Shades of Grey. You must have seen that movie. Life is about, infinite shades of grey, blue, black and all. But if you see even the movies, I'm just drifting apart, movies around the world or the stories around the world or the epics, if you read the books around the world. By the way, coming to books, that is where I've spent most of my money, and I firmly believe books are your best friends, and that is what I used to study when I was young. So I traveled almost 80 countries. I got the opportunities to do that because of my work, and I was like that, a wanderer, kind of an aimless wanderer. My father, at some point of time, used to call me a rebel without a cause. And because I used to question everything, I used to really, not believe anything just because it is written there, just because something is telling, I will never believe that. And that is, I believe, my strength, which most of the people around me, including my family, used to think is a problem. Now I think they appreciate it, but that is not even important. What is important is, am I expressing myself? Am I evolving? Am I talking, walking, and speaking everything, every moment of my life, which anyway is limited. I'm already, over 40, so life is running fast. And I used to sometimes think that I will be doing this thing or that thing later on, but that later on, I guess, never happens. The most important thing is you have to come alive for yourself. There was a famous soap in India called Liril, and they have this ad, "Come Alive." So we all are, I guess, somewhere dead inside. We all are either living a drugged existence or a doped existence. Either we are sitting with our phones or we are just thinking about something. The most difficult part for someone is to be in the present. So for that, you have to die every moment so that the new moment can come alive again. So a little bit about my history, which I will like to tell here, and I believe most of the millennials, or I would say Gen X or Gen Y, will be able to relate with it, and maybe the Gen Z as well in this world, because we are brought up with certain stories. The stories are told by our parents, our grandparents, our teachers and friends, and then obviously it's about the movies. Like in India, movies are very big, those melodramatic movies, So I was born and then I was brought up with certain ideas. And I was never a good student. I'm telling you right on this thing. I was never a good student in the sense I never used to believe everything what was told to me. The very idea of education was a big problem for me. I mean, reading books or studying books written by someone else, because all those people, all the books which I read, whether it was chemistry, maths, or physics, had the name of the author written over there. And I used to think why I'm reading something which is written by someone else, and why I'm going to a school and who are they to give me a grade A, B, or C? Why I'm going to a university? Who are they to give me a grade? I always had this question in my mind. And that was a big problem when I was growing up because I needed money. So when money is required, you have to do certain things in the worldly way. And I'm a good actor. I'm a good liar. I make up stories out of nothing. Really out of nothing. Right now, if you give me 10 ideas, I can create. That is my talent now. That is my nuclear weapon, which I want to use to the benefit of the world, right? So I started, faking things. I started creating a certain kind of image for myself. I went to do my master's in US and then went on to work for almost 20 years in Europe and across the world. And every time I was doing was, trying to bring up an image or build up an image, either to get jobs or projects, make friends, make girlfriends, travel. People, I wanted to think, I wanted people to think about me that I'm charismatic, I'm bold, I'm, like a suave, rugged, kind of guy, because that was the image which was going around the world, those rugged guys, those rough tough guys, which I'm not, I would say I'm a person who might be over 40, but is still a 5-year-old inside, because most of us are 5-year-olds, because most of the learning which happens, most of the conditioning which happens, if you notice in your lives, first of all, we don't remember maybe what has happened before we were 4 years of age. We don't remember, right? And between 4 and 7, I believe, roughly speaking, most of the data is drilled in our heads. That's why sometimes we even call kids as form of gods, because they are the purest children, I would say, who are less than 4. I'm a father to rather I would say, I won't say proud, because proud will be a wrong word. I am a happiest father to my son, who is 3-year-old, and he's my best buddy, actual buddy. Sometimes he had alcohol also with me, by the way. So he's purest, he lives in the moment. When I'm there with him, he's rolling over the floor, he's like shouting. When I'm gone, I will call his nanny, I will call his grandparents, We'll ask, how is Yashvi? They say, he's fine, he's playing, he's watching a TV. So we got wrong somewhere there. Our conditioning's gone wrong somewhere there. We stopped, living in the moment. We started getting all that conditionings, all those drillings by schools, by teachers. By the way, in terms of school, if you are aware in the world, if you search on internet, there are a lot of families in the world, especially in Europe, in North America, they are getting into unschooling. They have the money, obviously they have a government which supports them also, the child maintenance allowance. So they want themselves to bring up the kids rather than going to a school. And India is totally on a different level out here, because they are not just schools but tuitions, heavy bags and everything, and there is a spirit of competition. So everything possible which makes you successful in this worldly life is drilled into your head. And the problem is, the worst part is, sometimes most of us, I would say 7 or 8 of us, die with those conditionings. I was listening to I've heard it quite a few number of times, one of the YouTube videos of a very popular Hollywood star called Denzel Washington. He was saying in that, it was a graduation ceremony actually. He was saying to the kids that never let your talents, never let your sacred codes, your unique codes go waste, because when you die, imagine those talents are standing like angry people and telling you that we have to go down the grave with you. You never, expressed us, you never spoke to us, you never let us express ourselves. So that is the biggest tragedy. Death is not the tragedy. Even I would say being not able to get 2 meals in a day is not a tragedy. I'm telling you out of my experience, because I've experienced, I have gone through those moments. The tragedy is when we have to live a fake life throughout, and down the line we forget whether we are living in an illusion or actually is actual lie or the real thing. Real thing mostly you see in the mirror when you are in your bathroom or when you're talking to your own self. That is the real thing. But are we able to find a way to express that particular personality to the world? I don't think so we do that. And especially in today's world, people are so, I don't want to talk about this topic, which is obviously done to death by many people. I don't want to give a kind of a lecture or a sermon, but essentially social media, or right now we talk about artificial intelligence, or for that matter, any kind of tool is after all like a knife. With a knife you can either kill yourself or you can cut a vegetable. So I don't know how many of us are actually cutting a vegetable, or how many of us are actually scratching or bruising or killing ourselves, right? So it's a kind of a drugged existence we are kind of having, and life is running fast. So what this happened with me, I was all across the world, creating stories out of nothing. And sometimes when I was with people and they used to ask me about a story, I used to forget which story they are talking about. Then I have to create a new story out of it. So I was done with it. I was tired. Then life hit me so hard, because life initially will give you those gentle pushes, then nudges, then slaps, and then it will throw you off your feet. Then there'll be a thunderous kind of uprooting of your entire structure. Universe or world, whatever you call it, or the cosmic intelligence will disturb you so much, will disrupt you rather so much, I would say. Why I'm saying disturb, because in normal life it will feel like a disturbance, because we are all following structures, we are all following some kind of routines. We call it discipline, but the whole idea of discipline is, in my mind, not exactly the way it should have been. Discipline is being about being true to being original, to authentic to your own self, moment after moment, hour after hour, day after day. So this is what is happening around the world. People are not really knowing where they're heading for. So what happened is, when I was creating those stories, I used to go to office. First, I was doing a job in India, and in India, you hardly get vacations. Unlike Europe or UK or North America, you can get 3 vacations in a year, and here you have to lie. So I killed my grandfather many times. I killed my already dead grandfather, rather, I would say, and so many other relatives, just to get holidays, 10 days holidays, 20 days holidays, because obviously something is wrong, and I used to go unannounced. So at some point of time, I got tired of it. And coming back to the point, life hit me so hard. I was so much in love with London. I never wanted to leave it. But life brought me back to my roots. And now I'm slowly realizing when I look it from 36,000 feet, that everything is in life is actually a connecting dot. Life is definitely not under your control. I heard a famous story from one of the famous screenplay writers in India. He says that when the birth and death is not in your control, you don't know where you're going to be born, how you're going to be born, and you don't know how you're going to die, whether it'll be accident or you'll be just dying, a plane will fall overhead. So how can the life in between be in your control? So in any ways, there is a logic beyond our frail intellect that we are driven somewhere. We are being led to somewhere. So the best thing is, or rather I would say the only sensible thing is to go with the flow. There is no bravura, there is no, magic in trying to go against the tide as far as life is concerned. It's okay to, if you are flowing in a river and you are about to die, you can try to flow against the tide and save yourself. But in life, the whole magic, the whole miracle is when you go with the flow, because that your life is defined in a certain way. How you make the most of those moments is definitely up to you. Everyone, I believe, is born with a unique code, like we have a phone number, we have a SIM card, and there is a tower. There's a cosmic tower, what I call God. I call it God because I believe there's a supreme intelligence. And then we have our sacred codes. We are connected to that, intelligence, that supreme intelligence. We all are vibrating at a certain frequency. You might have noticed that sometimes when you are happy because of certain practices which you follow or something, it happens by accident, right? So life as such is like a raging river, I would say. We have heard of ECG, the way the heart flow is up and down is considered normal. When it becomes a straight line, it's death, right? So we may not be dead as such, but we are definitely, I'm pretty sure, not living a life which is thriving, which is throbbing, which is really like a river, like the flow of life, what we call it ebb and flow, crest and trough. So what is happening in terms of what I'm observing throughout is there is so much of lack of satisfaction, lack of connect. People are having those kind of eyes. You don't see that spark in their eyes at all. There's more spark in the eyes of a person, of a child rather, I would say, who is probably, playing on the roadside with somewhere in a slum, And right now I'm in India, and it's a country where you actually have great equalizers. You have great, stabilizing situations. Sometimes you are cribbing about life. I'm talking about myself right now. You're cribbing about life, you're cribbing about money or a failed deal or a failed relationship or whatever it is. And then you go out on the road in your car, you're cursing maybe God, you're cursing maybe I don't know what. But then you see someone in the slum, a child who's not even having shoes or proper clothes, who's like jumping with joy, dancing in rain, rolling over in the mud, right? So you question yourself, what is this? Is this happen? What is happiness actually? This question bothers everyone. It bothered me also. Because going back to that part of the story, when I was growing up, when I was in my college days or uni days, I was trying to be other people. I use a word called psychostimulation. I was trying to be something to gain something, especially when I went to US, right? So I used to go to parties, I used to have multiple dates and all that, and I used to feel great about it at the end of the day because I was doing the same stuff what most of the guys of my age were doing. But if I was happy, if I look back, no, I was not. Probably today I'm living a life which is not exactly very exciting or glamorous. You can call me that I'm a full-time kind of babysitter come entrepreneur come, I would say, a guy who is living a life of almost, I would say, solitude and seclusion, but I am pretty much at peace with myself. There were invitations to parties, there were invitations to get-togethers all the time, and I was kind of the entertainer in chief because of my stories and all that. Now I don't go there anymore. I rather spend time with my child. because that was more peaceful to me. That is where we are right now. So when I was talking about that particular age, till the age of 5 years, we are joyful for no reason. We are happy for no reason. When we don't like a thing, we cry, and we don't appreciate a thing, we actually show our dissent that we don't appreciate it. We don't suppress our feelings. We don't hide our feelings. And we don't get attached to people that easily. We may get attached to our parents and all that or whatever, but we are not really attached to situations or people outside, right? So after that, all those learnings happen, all those things happen in your life, and you live an existence till the time. I mean, most of the life stories, as you know, especially if you go to a city like London or New York, you will see literally clones of each other walking on the business districts in the tubes, wearing the same kind of suits, having the same kind of coffee mug in their hands, and so having the same conversations, most of them on their phone, most of them hardly talking. Talking about tubes, I spent a considerable amount of time in London, and there were moments when I would say, lonely in those moments, and sometimes when I used to sit in the tube, there are people normally having their headphones or earplugs or, novels in their hands. They're reading stuff. They are busy in their lives, even in the tubes. And sometimes it became so much for me that I had to ask someone next to me that, hey, listen, can you just take off your earplugs? Can you just take off your headphones? I want to have a conversation. And people there mostly have that kind of maturity that they mostly listen to you. They hear you out, and you tell, hey, listen, I have a bad day and I just want to share some things. I want to ease out. We don't know each other, and you will be off the next station, so I will like to have a chat with you. So that is what I'm talking about. And you see these days, there are cafes, there are places where there is strictly no internet, no Wi-Fi, because people can have real conversations, they can have real food. Even you might have noticed sometimes when your phone is not charged or there is no electricity, that sometimes we experience in countries like India, and we have nothing to do, and maybe you're sitting in a mountain somewhere in the Himalayas or somewhere very close to ocean in a remote area. You actually remember the taste of the food. You actually remember what did you do there in that break? How did you enjoy the raindrops? How did you enjoy the waves of the ocean? Or how were you enjoying the clouds around the mountains or the hills, or the small, mountain kids jumping and laughing and giggling? So you remember because you are fully present in that moment. So all these moments, the reason I'm mentioning, led me to a place where I am right now here, and people used to fondly call me Jolly, and Jolly, as you know, the meaning is about happiness, is about joy, real joy, I would say. And I was like that, I am like that, I'm becoming more like myself now, right? And I realized that after having, traveled to, I don't know how many cities, but definitely so many countries, and reading so many books, talking to so many people, umpteen conversations, what gives me a kick is about meeting new people every day, learning something new every day, reading something new every day. And those conversations are my treasure trove. Those books are my treasure trove. Those travel experiences are my beautiful memories. Even sometimes when I'm sad, I'm lonely, I go back into that mental memories of mine and I relive those moments, which actually made me realize that this is what needs to happen with every one of us throughout the world, especially those people who are living in those so-called civilized societies in, I would say, in metro cities, in cosmopolitan cities, in civilized world, or they call it the first world also, these days. So people need to find a way to connect with that code, the sacred code which I was referring earlier, which they are born with. Everyone, all of us are born with a unique skill, and that we all are aware of. We cannot say that I don't know what I'm supposed to do in my life. You know what you enjoy doing the most. Maybe you love painting, maybe you love dancing, maybe you just love walking, maybe you just love talking, or maybe you like writing stories. There are so many different things. Maybe you just want to walk down the hills or with a camera in your hand clicking pictures of the birds. Maybe you just want to look at the sky, so there's so many things which you're born with, and that is your power, that is your superpower, that is your unique skill, and you need to find a way to express it. And there are ways and means to express that, and that can be done, and that is what I have done in my life right now. So what happened was, when my life gave me that, thunderous kind of, uprooting of my roots, and I had to shift, I have to leave my place, I have to move around and find a meaning for my life, was not able to process things. That is how things started happening for me. And any kind of growth which is happening in life happens in a state of disruption. In typical, situations, you call it, in management lessons, you call it a caterpillar to butterfly moment. They talk about, moment where you actually are able to shed your skin and come out in the open. So those moments are moments of disruption. You can also further correlate with moments like, a seed becoming a sapling. So when you put a seed in the soil, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of heat, a lot of humidity, which makes the seed burst into a sapling, and then it becomes a beautiful tree someday. And a birth of a child is not a fun moment, it's a painful moment, right? So any kind of growth, any kind of progress is a disruptive process. And like they say, if you have to achieve different results, it's not that you have to do different things all the time, you have to do things differently. And that is what brings me to this Jolly Good Fellow Creations, where the whole idea is to talk to people, especially those people who are living in some kind of glass cage, a kind of a glass house, where they have no way to express themselves really from their heart. And that is why, if you see the world today, we have more luxuries than ever before. We have more meditation apps or wellness apps than ever before. We have better gyms than ever before. We have more organic foods and so-called and all that anymore, but there are more unhealthy people. There's more depression, more loneliness all around. There must be something going wrong somewhere. There must be something definitely going wrong somewhere. So we need to identify that. We need to figure out what's going wrong. The problem is, what we are listening to, what we are reading to, what we are hearing to is not something which people have experienced or they have tried and tested themselves. Everyone can talk about good things, but how you apply things in your life is something which most of us are not able to find a way to do it. So we end up, kind of getting into a further mess. So my experiences around travel and the reading of those rare books which I have in my library, which I carefully curated, almost 15,000 plus books, and it's adding up almost every day. In my spare time, I buy a new book every day. I go on some online site and I buy a book, because that is what I love doing. There's a treasure trove, especially when you go into those ancient scriptures, those ancient sacred codes. There are so many things which world needs to know. If you go into a professional or a corporate world today, you have those big 5 consulting firms, you have those big management consulting firms. They are recycling the same information again and again, same information again and again, same ideas again and again. And I don't even understand how people are getting impacted with that. They need to hear something new. There has to be something new, especially now when the era of artificial intelligence has taken over. When I say artificial intelligence, for a simple person who doesn't understand artificial intelligence, anything which doesn't need your intelligence, but the machine develops that capability to execute that thing. So anything which is tangible, when I say anything which is tangible, which is everything which is measurable, you can measure in numbers, you can measure in analytics, that can be done by AI today. Anything around the world. We are already in that era where people are losing jobs, people are becoming obsolete. And what is becoming relevant now? The intangible things. Intangible things are the things like your compassion, your value systems, your empathy, the kind of pure heart you've got, the emotion, the commitment and all. The world, I had a discussion around various ecosystems in the world, with especially the HR guys. These HR guys create CVs. What happens I give you an example, especially for those people who are working in some companies. You prepare a CV, which most of the time and somewhere, everywhere, it is doctored, it's twisted. And because the companies are rolling out job descriptions which are, not talking about really what they can do, but they talk about what you have already done. They talk about your numbers, they talk about your business figures, they talk about relationships and contact. They don't really bother about intangible things like how much drive you have left within yourself, how much passion, how much innovation, how much empathy, how much compassion you have got, and how many times you have actually stood by for your family or for your colleague, how many times you have stood up for a failure, out of a failure rather, I would say, to stand up for yourself. These things are not spoken about, and that is the reason why these bigger companies have got multiple functions, and we call them employee attrition, employee well-being, employee learning and development. But if you hire people for the right reasons, not for what they have done, but what they are capable of in terms of their values, they are willing to learn, because then it becomes a family for them. They don't have to hide, they don't have to lie. They come out there to enjoy yourself. People don't get to a job to get salary sometimes. They don't really bother about you give them free meals or a free gym kind of membership. They bother about where they spend 8 hours of their day, mostly speaking, of their most productive life. They want that 8 hours every day to become more meaningful, where they have wonderful people around them, they have wonderful conversations, and they are allowed to express exactly they want to express. And we have to, down the line, find a way and find ways and means where people, we are able to identify the spark in people and able to utilize it for the well-being of the organizations and the companies around the world, right? These things are happening right now, especially, like I mentioned, with the advent of artificial intelligence. So I call it the advent of Satyuga. And Satyuga is a Sanskrit term which means the return of the golden age, where people will be valued for their, good qualities, their virtues, their real attitude, how much they are, connected to their soul, how much relevant they are to the world, right? That is how people will be valued as we go ahead from here onwards, and that is what is going to matter. So when it comes to Jolly Good Fellow Creations, that is what we intend to do now with this company. I want to reach out to everyone, whichever generation they belong to. I want to reach out to every organization, wherever they are, whoever they are, irrespective of which level they are in their life or which probably age group they are in. All I want to do is, my objective or my mission of my life, whatever life I am left with, is to bring around that ignition, that activation of that sacred code or the secret code what they are born with, and do something about it. Find a way to express it. And believe me, you might not be able to earn money straight away, but that is the thing which will actually make you invincible. That is the thing which will make you the biggest differentiator as compared to the others. And that is because you will be able to do that thing day in and day out. You don't have to depend on other people. You don't have to find ways and means to twist and turn it around. So that is what is the need of the hour right now. And when it comes to wellness, for me, wellness is you are not really having a 5 a.m. meditation session or a 6 p.m. gym session or eating organic food, because most of those people I have met in my life in retreats around the world, in I would say sessions around the world, they meditate at 5 a.m. But if someone plays the music around them, if someone is shouting around them, they become really angry, and more angry than you can normally think, because internally they are still disturbed. They are not able to express what they are, and they don't know what they want. So real meditation is not like sitting somewhere, according to me, and closing your eyes and breathing deeply. Might work for some people to stabilize things, but real meditation is when your body, your mind, your heart, your soul and spirit all are in one sync, massive sync. You become timeless, and that is sometimes which is also referred to a flow state. Your watch starts running fast. You must have noticed some conversations. You might have noticed certain experience in your life where time is just running. You can feel it. Oh my God, it's already 2 hours have gone. There might be some conversations like that. There might be some movie or might be simply running or listening to a music, you're enjoying it so much because you're in the moment. Time becomes timeless. So you go beyond time and space. Those are the moments I'm talking about creating in life. So the reason of this particular video, I would say, is to you guys to give you a brief idea what this is all about, what I'm trying to convey to you. I'm not a guru. I'm definitely not a master. I'm not a psychic healer. I'm like just one of you. I have been broken many times. I have been equally vulnerable like you guys. Enlightenment happens to me every day, and the next day sometimes I also become restless. I also become sometimes even hyper, like people call me, or next moment I become quiet, or I get into a mood also, because that's the way life is. You need to be original. You need to be genuine to your own self. But at the same time, some people are born with a gift, and my gift is to share my experiences. My gift is to articulate those things into situations, into stories which each and every one of you can relate. And that is where I am right now, and that is what I want to convey with Jolly Good Fellow Creations. So as I move ahead, there will be a series of I would say content in terms of podcasts, in terms of books, in terms of I would say animations or conversations, or I would say conversations with large group of people, where depending on that particular day or the topics which we're going to talk about, I will be bringing in whatever I've learned in those books or those experiences of my life around the 80 countries to talk about what might make a difference in that particular conversation. And that is going to be an ongoing journey. I call the company Jolly Good Fellow Creations, and the name of that series right now will be called a Soul Cold Series of Sacred Leadership. The names might change, the process might change, because like I said, life is an ever evolving journey. It's like a river. So, but one thing is for sure, it will be a running river. It will not be a still or stagnated lake. So guys, I welcome you all. Let's connect, let's talk, let's enjoy those conversations. Let's see what comes out of that. Thank you so much. God bless you.